All right, welcome to week 4. We will be writing cover letters this week and resumes, and so I want to talk to you about that and then also show you some resume designs. The resume is a display, your cover letter or your personal statement if you're applying to graduate school. Those are arguments, and they're often about identity, saying who you are that fits that position. In this week, you're going to do a discussion about your writing process. And you're going to utilize technical writing processes and see drafting as analysis and creation. Those are kind of the goals for how I want you to look at this. And you're also going to get a rough draft of your cover letter and resume. I want to first talk about last week's cover letter that you were supposed to correct. The marks you see in yellow, those are marks of where things you could have corrected without adding words, right? So all of the sentences are really repetitive. I am, I will have, I have, I have, I have, I have. There's a double preposition here, right? Volunteer work in at local home repairs, or it should be at local home repair organizations. And then the marks that you see in turquoise are where you'd want to add information. So you never want to phrase why you're a good fit for a job in that it's good for you, but that it's good for the company and the people and it will benefit them. That what you are an add. You are a plus to their organization. And this, a job at that time would be very attractive. Says why you want a job. Well, of course you want a job. We all want a job. And that doesn't sell yourself or give the corporation a reason to look at you. In business letters, also, a colon, capital VA. In this other mark in turquoise, he says he's taken some classes dealing with the environment, but doesn't reference that back to what the job is calling for, nor does he say how soils, earth structures, and dynamics of groundwater, how they have anything to do with the job. And we can make those inferences, but you never want to make your reader work hard in a cover letter because they're looking at hundreds of these. And you want to make it easy for them to see why you're the best fit. Okay, so that is kind of a preface into how we're going to talk about cover letters. You want to make it easy for them to see why you're the best fit, and your argument is about why you're the best fit. To understand that, you have to understand what is the situation into which you're applying, what are the genre expectations for the cover letter, and you need to formulate an argument/identity. Then you're going to write, format that thing, review it, and write again. And that's kind of the process I hope that you can play with this week, and come in and out of kind of all of these. So what is the situation of a cover letter or a personal statement? There's you on this side. You have some qualifications that make you think that this job is a good fit for you, and you only have a couple pieces of paper to show them that and hopefully get to the next stage, which is an interview or a campus visit, or in the case of some personal statements, just acceptance. And then on this side, you've got the company and the university, and they have a mission. It's really important that you look at the mission of the company or the mission of a university and what their strengths are. There's also a history to the particular position, program, or department that you're applying to. And then there's the actual position and knowing what that is. So if you're going to apply for an entry-level position, you have to prove that you can move up the ranks and that you also are willing to serve the work. If you do the work that it will take to move up those ranks, and that you have the qualifications to do that. If this is a university and not a company, understanding that graduate school is about doing the work of the profession, that you're going to enter this conversation and that you have a particular interest and specialty. And so graduate school is actually about research. About getting ready to do the research or further professionalize yourself. Whereas your bachelor's degree gave you like this broad overview of the field, your graduate degree is where you specialize and become an expert in a particular field and that you're ready to do the work in that field. So you're also writing up, right? You're writing to people who are in a position higher than you, that you you aren't there yet. You want to get to that position, in most cases in a job letter. So you need to identify the audience and what they care about from the language of the job ad and your research on the company or school. So very often in your job ads, when I read them, I kind of tried to point out things that they cared about. Sometimes that's organization. Sometimes that's a knowledge of a certain environment. Sometimes that was your skill set. Sometimes it was that you were congenial and easy to work with. When you're talking about writing up into graduate school, you need to use the audience, the academic language, and use the language of that discipline to show that you fit. You also want to write in, and you establish your ethos through genre knowledge and research and using logos to make the case. So ethos is your character, right? Are you this person for this job, or are you this person for this graduate school? And you show that by knowing what you're talking about. You use logos and argument, logos is logic, to make the case of why you're the best fit for this position or why you're ready to be a practitioner in this field in graduate school. Writing is also identity formation. I am the person you described is kind of the implicit, you wouldn't say that exactly, but it's the implicit argument to how you structure the details in your cover letter. The genre, cover letters are formal, and you had a whole PowerPoint on this last week, so I'm not going to review that, but you can go back and look at it. You can also look in your book at chapter 11. They make similar moves, and how those moves are formulated are based on the pieces of the situation. So some of the similar moves are to say, I saw this ad, state up front why you're the best fit for the ad, give your qualifications, give your argument about your character of why you're the best, and that makes your argument for why you should have that position. Personal statements have two jobs. They establish your knowledge of a field and the position you is ready to contribute to said field, and they prove you can write. So much of graduate school is research and writing, but that personal statement is your time to shine as a writer, particularly within the style of your field. So if it's in a professional style or an academic style, depending on what your field is. So the argument basically is you fit the position. That's the basic argument. But you also want to say that you bring something extra to the position in line with the mission or the company or the school, which is why you have to look at what that mission is, and that's the level up. And then you want to argue that your history and qualifications have prepared you for this position, and you need to prove that with specifics from your coursework and your work experience. The extra is people want to work with someone they like. We all want to work with someone we like. And so whatever you can tell from the job ad of what they value, you want that to be in there. If they value fashion or competition or drive or being organized or communication, that is an extra you want to work into your cover letter, and you want to work that in with an anecdote that proves it. Not that you just say, also I'm super friendly, or I work well with a team. You need to prove it by showing you working with a team and getting something done. Okay, switching from the cover letter to the resume. The resume is a display of why the cover letter matters. It gives the bare bones of your education and work history. Design, fonts, action-oriented language, and language that's brief and concise and to the point are the kind of the backbones of the resume. And I just want to show you a few different ways to do the resume. These will not be appropriate for all jobs, but for some jobs they might. And I just wanted to show you that a resume doesn't just have to be black and white. It can also kind of play with color and style. So this is a designer's resume, and you can see she's playing with design, right? You get the basic information about her education and experience, her diploma, what she's doing, but you also get her skills and how good she is at those things and how many projects she's done with those things in color. And this wouldn't be appropriate for everyone, but I wanted to show you one. You can also go see all of these. I'm just gonna get back up here. If you click on the notes, you can go look at all these different, and some of them are templates, these resumes, so if you wanted to use one or wanted to play with one, you could download them and use them for this assignment. All right, the next one. This is a template, obviously, because it's using Lorem Ipsum color, but it covers all the basics, right? So the basics of the resume, your education, your skills, your work history, and then the contact information. And it's laid out in such a way that's interesting and eye-catching. Make sure you're using white space. If it's so crowded that we can't read it, that things aren't spaced apart, then the resume is failing. In your book, there's a chapter on design, and this might be a time that you look at balance and white space. And that chapter, I'm looking up the 5 principal designs, is chapter 13. And it talks about balance, alignment, grouping, and consistency. So all the headings should have the same type of font. All of the information under the heading should have the same type of font. Now these fonts on this, if the font doesn't have a tail on it, it is called a sans serif font, and then a serif font has a tail. Serif font is easier to use in great blocks of text. Sans serif is easier to see, not used, easier to read on the web. And so keeping those in mind, you can look for font combinations if you Google that and find out lots of different fonts that go together well. Arial and Helvetica and Times New Roman, Garamond. And go ahead and play with font on this rough draft if you would like to, because that can really set your resume apart. Okay, so this is a more standard resume. You get the header, an objective, education, their capabilities, the experience, their honors, and their freelance work. And this is fairly standard. Notice that when you list dates, it goes backwards chronological order with most recent first to way in the past. Same with schools, most recent first to the past. And that's basically the backwards chronological order for all resumes. Okay, and then I give you a bunch of words, word salad on your page. That these are words that can help you describe things that you've done that you may want to describe in bullet points on your resume or within the cover letter. And again, these are also listed. You can get to the ones that my screenshot cut off on slide 9. Okay, so I hope that gives you kind of ways you can play with resumes, how it can work as a display. You can play with color, you can play with layout, you can play with fonts. Your language should be brief but action-oriented. And that's about it. So these are the keywords. Here are different templates for resumes you might want to play with, or you can do a standard chronological resume as listed in your book. If you have any questions this week, let me know. The discussion, let's go look at that. Let me log in. Your discussion this week is about your writing process, and so how you write. So this week, let's go to the discussion. It's due Wednesday by midnight. Peer comments due Sunday by midnight. And I want to know how you write. So some writers have like really weird rituals. If you have any rituals, what do you do before you write? Where do you write? When do you write? What are the stages of your writing? How often do you return to a piece of writing before finishing it? What do you use to write? And most importantly, how do you think this current writing process will transfer to the workplace? And so that's it. And I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions, let me know. Also, you're turning in the rough draft of that cover letter and resume here. You do not have to do the peer review for this. Please do the cover memo. Just lets me know how much time you spent on it, and you can take a look at the rubric that I'll be using to give you comments. This is the rough draft. You will do a draft where you do a peer review on it also, but we're just at the rough draft stage right now. If you have any questions, let me know. If I can turn this off. Maybe. Where's the QuickTime player? I can't turn it off. So weird. Why can't I turn this off? Okay.